last episode, I got into how to step offline, how to get your body out of the way, how to understand this concept of when I'm getting my body out of the way, I don't have to move a great distance. In the Down and Dirty course, I get into an exercise we call the custom model bob and weave. I like to give credit where credit is due. Even though I've been doing this exercise that Grandmaster Perkins used to do all the time, showing people how he moves his hips, how he moves his body. And we started using the medicine ball. It's an exercise that Custom Model used to also do with his boxers, and I like to give credit where credit is due. That's why I call it the Custom Model bob and weave. Plus, it's a really cool sounding exercise. And so, the other thing is, I always get a question. Once I know how to get out of the way, how do I get in? Great question. Because in a real situation, right, we're not here boxing and playing kickboxer with each other. When you got to fight for real, you got to go. And it's not going to be this pretty cool looking thing. And I can make a lot of stuff look cool when I'm going here against an opponent who's obviously not trying to murder me. So I understand that. But it's the concept of being able to develop the skill enough where you habituate the skill, whereas even when things are going crazy, you've established a base level of understanding in the body, kind of, this embodied cognition, so that, okay, if I'm stepping offline and getting out of the way and I'm clearing his hands, I at least know, number one, I'm going to get out of the way, no matter what he's doing. Even if his hands come, because people always ask, well, what if they're throwing a haymaker? What? It doesn't mean I don't know how to deal with that. And I know some people, they teach techniques where you get the hands up and you do that, or you get the elbow, all good stuff. It's good stuff. The only thing I would disagree with some of that stuff is it's presented in a way where it's not as organic of how we actually move. In other words, it's presented where it's in its frame where it's too stiff, where you're dropping in and it's too stiff, and it kind of creates the perception in people's minds like you kind of stand there, at least from my observation. And so you just want to remember, if you're going to use techniques like that, they do work. Don't let me kid you, they work. But what you got to do is you got to be prepared the moment you feel where their arms are to lay them out. So that's all I'm saying about that. So when I'm moving in, a couple things I like to do, and I go over this in the Down and Dirty course, whereas we have these exercises where we roll the hands forward, we even roll them to the sides. And what we're doing is, as he's coming in, I don't care what he's doing. I'm just going to step offline and go. And I'm just sending my hands, sort of like what is taught in the World War II combatives. But when I'm sending my hands, and I'm just going to really cover this one, my hands are always going in a downward fashion. So for example, as he's coming in, I'm not doing this, or I'm trying to block, or do some hooky thing. Forget that. My hands go in a downward fashion, usually aiming with either the heels of the hands, or if I'm going to chop on the way in, or one of my favorites is I like to use the hammer fist because they just hurt so much. And most people are not used to getting hit in the arms. And the reason why I go in a downward fashion versus trying to push it away to the side is because I'm now also using the leverage of my body and gravity. Because unless he's strong enough to do shoulder flies with the suddenness of me dropping down in his arm, times my mass and all that other stuff and velocity that I, gaffed off in algebra class, he's going to have a hard time. And I don't care even if he blocks it. I'm just going to keep going. In Warrior Flow, we deal with people's hands by exception and not as a rule. Meaning, if I don't have to deal with your hands, I won't. If I have to deal with your hands, I'm going to deal with your hands. But then I'm going to try to clear your hands or get myself offline from your hands as quickly as possible. So we'll go like this so you can see. So when I'm here, what I'm doing is, as my hands are coming up protecting my head, as I'm stepping on this angle, what I'm doing is I'm just bringing my hands up, protecting my head, and I'm just striking in a downward fashion. Now, one of the concepts we teach in Warrior Flow, because I want to make sure I cover this, is hitting is a part of sensitivity, right? So when we talk about subtle muscle control, when we talk about sensitivity, or what we call perceptual awareness in Warrior Flow, my sense of sensitivity feels this and knows what this is because I have an arm too. So as I'm hitting, I'm feeling my way through as I'm hitting. I don't need a lot of physical contact or long, prolonged physical contact to know that's his arm. So as I'm entering, everything as I'm dropping in has an explosiveness to it. My body is relaxed and I'm just letting it go. And I'm not playing games with what I'm doing. And I'm just gonna keep hitting until I don't have to hit anymore. So one of the ways you could practice this on your own is first, before you do it with a partner, you just practice rolling your hands forward, getting that feel. Then you can even go on like a wave bag and get into this habit of practicing feeling your hands come down. Then you start practicing stepping offline, getting multiple hits, even using hammer fists. And you just practice it and practice it until you develop your timing. The key point is make sure you're moving your body first as you're getting offline and trying to get in to penetrate. And just keep hitting and just work your way up and you just keep hitting them. But you got to practice it because there's a timing to it. And there's, again, people say, well, what if they block back? Well, if they block back, keep hitting their arms. In Warrior Flow, our attitude is your arms are every bit as much a target as your head. So in other words, I don't care what you do with your hands. People say again, what if they throw a hook punch? I don't know. What if I punch them in the throat? If I can block a hook punch, then that means I know where their hand is before I actually block it. Therefore, why aren't I taking that opportunity within that same time frame to do something more effective? No one says I got to block your hand. I'll block it in a way you're not going to like it. One of the things that Grandmaster Karen used to do, and I'll do it from this angle, you can see, when people would bring their arm wide, he had a habit of hitting you. Sometimes hammer fisting, usually with an open palm right in the bicep. But he did it in a way where you could literally feel like your shoulder was going to come out of the socket. And the reason it felt that way, because that was his intention. He had every intention of separating your shoulder from the socket. The point is, when you're practicing these skills, that's the intention, the ruthless intention you have to practice them with. And when you practice with a partner, I'm just telling you, be careful. Go slow. You don't get stupid, because these things that we teach in Warrior Flow are inherently dangerous. And so if you do something dumb, you're going to seriously injure someone. So hopefully you got something out of this episode, because it kind of ties into the last episode where I talked about how you get offline, how you can practice that stuff. And this is real rudimentary stuff we teach in Warrior Flow. We teach this in all of our courses, within, the Down and Dirty course, the Fast Hands course that helps you develop explosive hitting power. And then of course, the Sensory Flow course, where we teach you how to be able to kind of bring all that stuff together, where you start learning how to recognize the patterns in another person's motion, to be able to kind of go through it where you're actually feeling your way through the fight in real time, making decisions on the subconscious competence level, or what some people call automaticity, as quickly as possible without having to think about it or getting overly crazy about it. Hey, I just want to thank all the people and all the new subscribers. I'm enjoying the feedback. I'm enjoying making these videos. One thing I will say is, for those people who are watching these videos on a regular basis, if there's something that you feel you want me to cover down the line, just drop me a line in the comments section. But once again, thank you for all the folks who are signing up. Thank you for all the folks and all the support. And I'm going to continue with this series of episodes and just keep building on this stuff, because I have a lot of fun doing this stuff. Hey, make sure you're also hitting the subscribe button below.